Hi everyone. I just finished the new Pinocchio, and I did type up a review for Rotten Tomatoes specifically, and it didn't go through, and I kind of lost my whole review. But I still probably wanted to give a review, but I didn't want to write it up again. But it's just as a kid, I was never a giant fan of the cartoon Pinocchio. But as an adult and a teacher, I'm a preschool teacher specifically. I work also a little bit with after schoolers. But I absolutely grew to really appreciate and love the story because it was so enriched with moral lessons. And moral and life lessons, like so many good lessons. It's just dripping with it. So it's a story I would do every year with my preschoolers. Like I would read a little the Disney, get a Disney book of it, and we would read it, and we'd talk about all the lessons that are in it and what they mean. And then we'd watch the movie, kind of just to reinforce it. So whenever I saw that there was a live action, I was interested. I was very disappointed. I know a lot of people were disappointed in the movie, but part of the reason why I really wanted to leave a review is because out of all the bad reviews that have gone out for this movie, no one has complained or pointed out the fact that they got rid of or they watered down a lot of the lessons in the stories that were, that are good to teach our children. For example, whenever he met Honest John, obviously that's the lesson of don't talk to strangers and stuff like that. And don't necessarily trust someone just because they say they're an honest person, and that lesson is sort of still there. But one of the biggest lessons that I always felt was in the original was that Pinocchio, everything that happened to him throughout the whole story, all the trouble he got into, all the bad situations he found himself in, and how much it affected his father and the other people around him, all of that could have been prevented if he had just listened to his father and gone to school. Well, in this new one, he made it to school. He listened to his conscience, and and went to school. And then he got kicked out of school because the teacher kicked him out, saying he couldn't come to school because he wasn't a real boy. So, and that's when Honest John got a hold of him again and said, "Oh, look, they treated you horribly. You should go be an actor." But doing it that way, they got rid of the whole message of the consequences of not listening to our parents. And I, as a teacher, and assume one day I want to be a parent myself, that's not a lesson I want to teach. I want to be teaching my kids that, there are consequences for not listening to your parents, because the parents have the best interest at heart for their kids. Instead, they replaced it with it was a racial profiling situation where, I agree. Like, a racial profiling is bad, no matter the color. It affects people. It hurts people. It can cause people to make unwise decisions. But if they wanted to add that into the story, that's fine. But why get rid of the lesson about listening to your parents? So I really didn't like that. That really upset me. And then Jiminy Cricket, he's supposed to be there trying to talk Honest Pinocchio out of going with Honest John. Like, this guy already talked to you. He's not a good guy. You don't want to go to school. But Jiminy is trapped in a bottle. So he can't even be a conscience to give Pinocchio the choice to either ignore his conscience or follow or do the right thing. Because that's the whole point of the conscience situation is Pinocchio is supposed to be choosing to ignore what his conscience is telling him to do. But they don't even have that option anymore because Jiminy Cricket is trapped in a bottle and can't even give him advice. So again, he goes off with Honest John and goes to the puppet show. And then there was the whole lying situation, how lying is bad. That was in the original. That was a big thing in the original too. It was like, why his nose grow. Yes, his nose grew in the new one, but the blue fairy didn't even come and talk to him whenever he's trapped in the bird cage. Like in the original, she comes to talk to him when he's in the bird cage and ask him, why didn't you go to school? Like, makes him realize all the mistakes he made up to that point. Yes, Pinocchio goes on to make more afterwards, but that's not where I'm at right now. She doesn't come and do that. And then so Jiminy Cricket comes and his Pinocchio's nose grows and grows because he's lying, and Jiminy Cricket makes one tiny comment about, lying is bad. But then they just totally throw that out the window by making lying okay. Because, look, because you were lying and your nose grew, now we can reach the key so we can unlock your cage. So lying was okay because we got out. And yes, if you're kidnapped and you're in a bad situation and lying can help you, I'm not saying that's not a valid option. But the point of the story was lying is bad. They just made lying okay. So there goes that moral lesson as well as the listening to your parents one. And then he doesn't run into Honest John again. Like in the original, he runs after the blue fairy lets him out of the cage and gives him one more chance. He is supposed to run into Honest John again, who has already talked to the coachman because the coachman wants him to find bad little boys to take to Pleasure Island. Well, he doesn't run into Honest John again. They don't even have a conversation with Honest John and the coachman. So that to me takes away the moral lesson of, hey, should you be listening and following and going with people who have led you down bad paths before? Because that's what he did. Like Honest John, he talked him into becoming an actor. And what happened? He got locked up in a cage. So should Pinocchio be listening to Honest John's advice? And that was one thing I always pointed out to the kids. Like, did this guy lead him right before? No. But in this, they don't even do that. Pinocchio doesn't run into Honest John. So there goes that lesson about, don't listen to people who've hurt you before. Instead, we get the choice of whether or not he's going to listen to Honest John and make more bad choices taken away from him. And he's kidnapped literally with a net and dragged on to the coach of the coachman's to take him to Pleasure Island. Yes, at that point, Pinocchio could decide, no, I need to go home. And he just sits there. But again, Jiminy Cricket isn't there to try to dissuade him at all because he can't reach him. And yes, he once he got on the coachman, Jiminy Cricket at that point couldn't really talk him out of it. But when he was originally talking to Honest John, he tried to talk him to do what he was supposed to do. Don't follow Honest John again. But they don't give that at all. So again, he doesn't even have a chance to listen to his conscience. So there goes again you should follow your conscience, you should do what's right. Pinocchio is still learning what's right and wrong. So if his conscience not there to tell him, there goes that lesson as well. So he does end up at Pleasure Island, and you see they were drinking root beer and the smoking part was gone. Now I understand that was a little controversial because having the kids in the cartoon and whatnot smoking and drinking beer. But at the same time, now I never went into this part I never really went into detail with, I'm a preschool teacher. I more just talked about their bad behavior in this scene. But the drinking and the smoking wasn't there to say, hey, look, I'm smoking, I'm drinking, I'm cool, I'm chewing tobacco, I'm breaking things, look at me, I'm cool. That's not the lesson that was there. The lesson was look at these guys. They're smoking, they're drinking, they're breaking things, they're acting like hoodlums. And what happened to them? What was the consequence? They made fools of themselves. They got turned into donkeys. So that was the lesson there. So I was never really bothered by that scene. I understood why some people were, but at the same time, it wasn't there to make it look good. It was there to make it look bad. that Pinocchio was doing bad things and unwise things, drinking and smoking, and he made a fool of himself and turned into a donkey. So that, again, that lesson really wasn't there, because it was so watered down. There wasn't really, besides the fact that they were breaking glass and destroying clocks, there was really no other moral lesson involved in the Pleasure Island scene. It was just, the lesson, I guess, got watered down to the point where if you destroy things, you're going to turn into a donkey. Which, yeah, that's fine, but I don't know. I just had a lot of issues with it, because I felt the life lessons that we should be teaching our children were taken out of it, or watered down to the point, especially that lying scene where they first said it was wrong, and then they justified it right after they did it. And you never really, in the movie, in the live action, you never really felt the true ripple effect of what Pinocchio's actions had done to his father. Yes, his father went to go rescue him from Pleasure Island in the live action, and that's why he was on the water. But there was something different about him getting swallowed by the whale first. Yeah, we don't know why he went looking for the water, but Pinocchio gets home, and it's in the cartoon, and his dad is gone, and he gets a message from the blue fairy. Again, we don't see the blue fairy at all after the beginning of the live action. She's just not there anymore. And there's something different about him seeing that message, and that message kind of brings it to a circle. Like, hey, your father went looking for you because you didn't get home. Come home. And now he got swallowed by a whale. All of that happened because he didn't come home. That is sort of there in the live action. Just, it didn't feel as strong. And it didn't feel, as self-sacrificing of Pinocchio to go and rescue his father. The cartoon, sorry, I'm losing my words. The self-sacrifice of Pinocchio at the end of the cartoon was so much more rich and authentic than the live action. But yeah, so was my issues with it. I was really disappointed by how many moral lessons were taken out of it. And there are so many bad reviews for this live action, but not one of them mentions that. And so I felt I needed, as a teacher, and I'm hoping one day to be my own mother one day, that this needed to be said. Like I said, I read this story, Pinocchio, to my preschoolers every year. Last year, we even read it with the after-schoolers. I am never going to show the live action. The lessons aren't there. Or what little lessons there are few and far between, or watered down. All right, well, thank you for listening to my little rant. I'm sorry it took so long. But yeah, if you want to check it out, go ahead. Especially if you have Disney Plus, it's free, but I almost didn't finish it personally. The minute he made it to school and got kicked out of school, and I just saw where it was going, I was just so disappointed. And then it just got worse and worse with the destroying of the moral lessons. I feel like I'm getting on repeat now. So I will let you go. Thank you for listening. And I hope this helps in your opinion on which version you're going to let your kids watch. All right. Thank you. Bye.